remember definitely that I was in Great Lakes training station on December 21st of 1941. It was Pearl Harbor Day. And that was our graduation day.
Oh, wow.
So it's an outstanding day in my lifetime.
Yeah.
And wanted to get out overseas and see some action. In fact, as I had volunteered for submarine duty.
Oh, okay.
And could not make it because of this teaching assignment, because they needed teachers.
Yeah. That's really important.
Yeah. So, from there I ended up in Bermuda.
Oh.
Which was not my training. Yeah, they trained us all right, and it was basically done with what they called visual aids. And it was just strictly a bunch of films that we showed, and having to do with the complete teardown of engines, aircraft engines, cleaning them and putting them all back together again.
I see.
Taking them apart and putting them back together again. And the students who went through this school took, I think it was a 12-week period. And of course, after 12 weeks, they were shipped out to different places all over the world. And that's how I was taught, was just strictly by visual aids and doing it.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of hectic in those days.
Right.
Because of Pearl Harbor. We weren't prepared.
Yeah.
So it was one of those things where you learned quick and you taught quick and you got out of there.
Yeah.
Well, my life had changed completely, naturally.
Mm-hmm.
As I say, I was single. I suppose that the fellas who were married had it more difficult than I did, but being single and anxious to get out to sea, I loved the Navy to begin with, because I had been drafted. I was a 1A in the Army.
Oh.
And rather than go into the Army, I asked for a deferment for a few days. And I went down to the recruiting station in Chicago. And the recruiter happened to be a Navy chief and a great guy. And I told him about my being drafted or going to be drafted. And he says, "Let me see what I can do for you." So he got on the phone and he made a phone call to my draft board. You don't know what a draft board is, do you?
No, yeah.
Well, that was what you went through for being inducted into the Army. And he picked up the phone, as I say, and he called someone in the Navy recruiting or the Army, and turned out that who he was talking to happened to be a World War I friend of his, and they had served together on a destroyer.
Wow.
And so, being that they knew each other, the Navy went over and I got a deferment so that I was able to get out of the Army assignment and get into the Navy.
Yes. What was it like serving in the Navy throughout the war?
Well, I was in, as I say, at Navy Pier, and then ended up in Bermuda.
Oh, yes.
And continuing my duties in aircraft maintenance. And had I stayed there, I'd have been promoted to what they call the Chief Petty Officer. But I was able to, by that time, when I was in Bermuda, my wife was pregnant when I left, and I had a son born, and I hadn't seen him. So I had a choice of staying or coming back to an advanced school over on the south side of Chicago.
Right.
Again, more aircraft training for me, more technical.
Yes.
And I chose to come back rather than stay, and I saw my son, who was about 7 or 8 months old.
Aw.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And then, so once you came back and your son was born and you were teaching again,
I finally got word that I was out of the Navy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got out after 4 years.
I see.
Put in about 4 years.
Oh, wow. And
Yeah.
then the rest of your life, did you keep doing stuff with the technical?
No,
No.
entirely different. Went back into something that I wanted to do, and it was in sales.
Okay.
And put in 39 years, and that was where I am now.
Oh.
You learn that you got buddies, and they became not only Navy mates, but dear friends. And of course, I'm aged now. I don't hear from them anymore. But it was a part of my life when I will never forget.
Yes.
I would never exchange it for anything.
Really?
Yeah.
And do you think the friendship was stronger because you both were part of this experience?
Navy, N-A-V-Y.
Yeah.
Navy.
Navy, yeah.
Navy. Acres away. Yeah. And it was intense because they just needed aircraft people. They needed everyone.
Yeah.
In all phases of the Navy. But aircraft was a big thing, naturally,
Right.
after Pearl Harbor.
Yes.
And so we were graduating 18, 19-year-old kids who come out of the farm and had never been 10 miles from their home. And the 9th Naval District here at Great Lakes was a major center where they sent Navy recruits
Right.
for this training.
Okay. Yeah, that's gonna be a big change for everybody having to, and then once they get out on the ship,
Sure.
I can't imagine.
Sure.
So did you meet your wife then after Pearl Harbor?
Oh, no. I got married. In 1942
Okay.
when I was stationed at Navy Pier, and had a wonderful wife and a home. And but being at Navy Pier, I was able to get home most weekends.
Nice.
And as I say, then it came time to be transferred, and
To
that's when
Bermuda.
I went to Bermuda. Yeah.
And then I wonder, during that time period, how did you keep in contact with your wife? By writing letters?
Oh, absolutely. Every day or
Every
every other
day,
day.
wow. And did she
Yeah.
receive most of them?
I'm sorry?
Did she receive most of the
Oh, I'm
letters?
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Oh,
And
that's
I
sweet.
got a son who might be interesting. My wife's brother was an MD, a medical doctor. And of course, he gave her a lot of support when I was gone.
Yes.
He was a widower. He had lost his wife, so they were very close. And when my son was born, I got information. I don't know how it got to Bermuda, but I got it by not a message or a letter. One of the officers met me and said that I got some news for you. You've got a son.
Aw.
And I said, gee, that's great. I'm going to see if I can get back to see him. And I applied with Red Cross to get away. And they denied it. I couldn't get out. So I managed to, don't remember how I did this. I think it was a phone call. And I talked to my brother-in-law, the doctor, and said, well, how is the skipper doing? This was, I referred to my son, and I didn't refer to him as Bill or,
Yeah.
I called him the skipper because being in the Navy, I just thought that would be a good nickname.
Yeah.
And he still goes by it.
Does he?
Yeah.
Aw.
Yeah. And water was precious. There was more milk to drink than there was water. And of course, bathing was difficult because you can't bathe in seawater.
Yeah.
See?
Wow.
Yeah. So another thing, you know, being a mechanic, an interesting thing also that I was assigned to, you know, when you see these great big freighters come in, you've probably seen them on TV, where you see an operator with a great big net that goes down into the hull of the ship, and the net is a container, ends up as a container, and they put all sorts of boxes and things in this net, and then they raise the net and bring it up. You know, you've probably seen it.
Yeah.
And I was assigned to operating the controls to lower and raise these nets. And those were, I think they were 10 or 12-hour duties, and I had a lot of that.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Let's see, how difficult was Bermuda? Well, heck, that wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we were not under fire at any time.
Yeah.
But, you know, the only thing, yeah, Bermuda, beautiful island. I just loved it. Went back there.
I bet.
Went back there, yeah. Went back there and very disappointed. Everything was dilapidated and the barracks were bad. And
Wow.
the base was just all torn up and just doing terrible. Another thing that I had an advantage, when I was in high school, I sort of must have had a little military desire. When I was in high school, I was in ROTC. Now, you don't know what an ROTC is, do you?
Well, nowadays I think it's at the college level, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think I don't know whether they have it in high school or not.
Yeah. I know it's something like where you then owe the Army a couple years or
Cadets.
something. Yes.
And I had 3 years of experience in high school as an ROTC. And of course, we wore uniforms. And so when I got into and we had rifles, we went through the manual arms training and had rifle training and marching and discipline.
While you were in high school?
While I was in high school. 3 years of my 4 years.
Oh.
So when I got into the Navy, of course, that being on my resume, that's what got me
put you to the trainer.
pushed me in advance, yeah.
Yeah.
And I could read and write, you know.
Yeah.
A lot of kids, some of them didn't have too much high school.
Really, and they were just
And, you know, they
had to go serve.
yeah. They could work with their hands, you know, but
couldn't read or.
we had all kinds of kids, you know.
Yeah.
But being 3 years of experience in the ROTC. Oh, another thing is when we got to Navy Pier, we slept in hammocks. There were no beds.
Oh.
We slept in hammocks in barracks, and that was quite an experience because you learn to lash, what they call lash your hammocks. I'm going back a long ways now. And of course, during the middle of the night, you'd always hear somebody turn over in their hammock, and they'd end up on the floor.
I bet.
Those were great days. We didn't know it at the time, but so anyway, that was something even before the Navy that I had 3 years of experience in.
Yeah. Now, where did you go to high school?
Crane Tech in Chicago.
Okay.
I think it's now I think it's a college, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh. Okay.
It was like Lane Tech. There was a Lane Tech.
Yeah.
Lane Tech still exists
Sure does.
as a high school. And I think Crane is now a college.
Oh,
It was tough leaving a wife home.
yeah.
I was pregnant. And then not seeing a son for 10 months. When I got back, let's see, when I got back, I think Skip was probably, let me see, November. He was almost a year old. A little short of a year old
Okay.
when I got home.
Yeah, that would be hard.
And I went out to Great Lakes to be to get out, to, go through a physical and so on. And I was put on what they call a Naval Reserve,
Okay.
which I chose to do. And that was the end of the Naval Service.
Everybody's serving in these different areas. It
Exactly.
wouldn't all come together.
Well, it's a different world today.
Yeah.
It's a different world. And I suppose 50 years or 100 years from now, it'll still be different.
Yep. It's always changing.
With the drones.
Yep.
Instead of getting your hands greasy.
I know. Exactly.